Today is July 16th, 2025, and this is Read Through the Bible.
Yep. Hello, everyone. We are in Luke chapter 6 today as we go through and read about the ministry of Jesus. It's really refreshing after reading so much about the old Levitical law.
Yeah,
We're getting to see
sure is.
Jesus in action. Just the extraordinary things that he is doing has been quite amazing.
But he is coming into conflict with people who are holding on deeply to the Old Testament law.
Yep. So today he's going to have some conflict about the Sabbath. He's doing some things on the Sabbath that they didn't want. And then he preaches a sermon much like the Sermon on the Mount. Mm-hmm. It's called the Sermon on the Plain, oftentimes, because he was on a great flat, level place, chapter 6, verse 17. And a lot of the content is the same, but I think this is a different sermon. Jesus, remember, was a traveling evangelist who would preach the same sermon over and over and over again, like many evangelists do. And so here's just a different version of the Sermon on the Mount from Matthew 5 through 7. Yep.
Okay, chapter 6, verse 1. On a Sabbath, while he was going through the grain fields, his disciples plucked and ate some heads of grain, rubbing them in their hands. But some of the Pharisees said, "Why are you doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath?" And Jesus answered them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he entered the house of God and took and ate the bread of the presence, which is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and also gave it to those with him? And he said to them, 'The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath.'"
Yep. So he just accused about doing something not lawful on the Sabbath, and he said, well, David did the same thing.
Well, and in Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, we heard a lot about the Sabbath and how important it was to not break the Sabbath. So the Pharisees have caught that, but have taken it too far.
Yeah, and he pulls a story from 1 Samuel 21 when David is fleeing from Saul. He and his men were hungry, and they go to the priest. His name was Abimelech.
I think so. Abimelech or Ahimelech?
Ahimelech, something like that. The priest, and the priest gave him the bread of the presence, which shouldn't be eaten, but, God desires mercy rather than sacrifice is the idea. Okay, verse 6, on another Sabbath he entered the synagogue and was teaching, and a man was there whose right hand was withered. And the scribes and the Pharisees watched him to see whether he would heal on the Sabbath, so that they might find a reason to accuse him. Like, forget the fact that he can heal, they just want to get him on a technicality. Right. But he knew their thoughts. And he said to the man with the withered hand, "Come and stand here." And he rose and stood there. And Jesus said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or destroy it?" And after looking around at them all, he said, "Stretch out your hand." And he did so, and his hand was restored. But they were filled with fury and discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. Okay, put a big box around verse 11. Because that's the same as Mark chapter 3, verse 6. It's the same as Matthew chapter 12, verse 14. Just it's the turning point. After this miracle, they said, we got to kill this guy. This is no good. He is not helpful.
And here he did something so good and so miraculous and powerful, and they were furious.
Yep. Chapter 6, verse 11. Remember that verse. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, verse 12. In these days he went out to the mountain to pray.
Yep.
There it is again.
Yep.
And all night he continued in prayer to God.
Yeah.
That's
when you read
earnestness.
Yeah, when you read the life of the prayer life of Jesus, it's amazing how he spent all night praying. In chapter 5, verse 16 as well. He would withdraw, kind of often would be the issue, right? To desolate places and pray all night as he was trying to figure out which ones would he be his disciples.
Okay, so verse 13. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose from them 12, whom he named apostles. Simon, whom he named Peter, and Andrew his brother, and James and John, and Philip, and Bartholomew, and Matthew, and Thomas, and James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon, who was called the Zealot, and Judas the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor.
Yeah, so it's interesting. All the lists of the apostles, Peter's always first. And really quickly come James and John. Those three are like the three prominent disciples. And then the others sort of diminish in importance. And then the very last one is always Judas Iscariot, who will betray him. Verse 17, and he came down with them and stood on a level place. Here's the plain, the Sermon on the Plain. With a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea and Jerusalem and the seacoast of Tyre and Sidon, who came to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. And those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And all the crowd sought to touch him, for power came out from him and healed them all.
And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you shall be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, and revile you, and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy. For behold, your reward is great in heaven, for so their fathers did to the prophets.
These are like the Beatitudes, very similar to what Jesus began his Sermon on the Mount with.
In Matthew.
But this is a section that's not in Matthew. Verse 24, but woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you shall be hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. And woe to you when all people speak well of you, for so their fathers did to the false prophets. It's very challenging words there, but just basically, if all's going well with you right now, your tables may be turned.
Okay, verse 27. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them.
If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies, and do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful.
Verse 37, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you.
And he also told them a parable. Can a blind man lead a blind man? Will they not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone, when he is fully trained, will be like his teacher. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the speck that is in your eye, when you yourselves do not see the log that is in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to see clearly to take the speck that is in your brother's eye.
It's a very vivid picture.
A very
almost
vivid picture.
Humorous.
Yes, and it's intended to be humorous and
caricature.
hyperbole. Yeah, like you have this big 2x4 in your eye, and someone else has this tiny, tiny speck.
Yeah.
But that's the way hypocrisy works. Like, people are like this all the time. We're like this. I'm like this. That's just be self-aware.
We can be blind, very easily blind too.
Very easily. You're right.
Okay, verse 43. For no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good person, out of the good treasure of his heart, produces good, and the evil person, out of his evil treasure, produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. I have that phrase circled there. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks.
Yep.
So what comes out of our mouths is the fruit of what's in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is really helpful that you just look at someone's fruit and you can tell what kind of tree they are, a good tree or a bad tree. Verse 46, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he's like. He's like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not do them is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the stream broke against it, immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. There's his famous sermon that he went around and spoke, this traveling evangelist preacher, Jesus of Nazareth.
Yep, that last section there's the children's song about the wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand.
Yep.
And I just think about, like, lately, we've had some flooding in our area, and there were some big floods in Texas and other places, and so it's a very vivid picture.
Yep. Okay, so I trust you can summarize that chapter just how you want. We've talked about enough. All right. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye.